So, I'm walking down the street and some guy came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to see a magic trick?" I'm like, "Sure, why not? What type of magic trick?" And he said, "It's a card trick." I'm like, "Ooh, those are my favorite." He said, "Alright, then let's get started." So, I have 3 cards here. This, this, and that. And then he told me, "Now, what I want you to do is I want you to keep your eyes on that." So, as he said that, he then moved that to the bottom, and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty easy, that's at the bottom." She's like, "Well, that's actually this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you didn't really move the cards there, and that's still at the top." She's like, "Well, that's actually this." I'm like, "Okay, if this is at the top and this is at the bottom, then that's got to be in the middle." He said, "Well, that's actually this." I said, "Oh, okay, so that was just there and now it's not there? You couldn't have thrown it anywhere, so where'd you put it?" And then he told me, "Well, like I told you in the first place, that's at the bottom." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you must have 2 of this and 1 of that." He's like, "Well, actually, I got 2 of that and 1 of this." I'm like, "Oh, okay. So, since that was at the top and that was at the bottom, this is going to be in the middle this time." He's like, "Well, that's in the middle." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm running late for work, I gotta go leave." He's like, wait, just stay for the trick." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, fine, whatever." So, I have 3 cards here. This, this, and this. I'm like, "Okay, so now you have 3 of this, and you don't have a that?" I'm like, "That was just there, what happened to it?" I'm like, "I don't even know, I'm really confused." And he told me, "Well, in life, you gotta have a little bit of this, you gotta have a little bit of that. With all that, you barely have any time for the other."